more self-sufficient in the days ahead. You gotta, it's cold out. Rosie's outside running around. Well, it's not too cold. But that's what I'm feeling within my spirit. I'm telling myself that. You're going to have to learn to be more self-sufficient, Gina. You can't just talk and research and stuff. There's a lot of people that do that. There's a lot of people. Let me make sure you can hear me. A lot of people, you know, I can say that I've read things before. Oh, that looks like a good idea. That looks like something I should do. Well, a lot of people do that also. They will look at, oh, look how they did this, look how they did this, and preparing like for gardening and storage and dehydrating and things like that. They got the knowledge up there, but they don't implement it. They do not implement what they've read. They don't put what they've seen into action. And some people are capable of doing it. They truly are. They're capable of doing it, but they just don't do it. They just, I don't know what's missing when, if you're a person who does that, why, if you do all the research and studying, you're a wealth of knowledge, can you put that knowledge into action so that you can be self-sufficient, that when hard times come, they are coming, that you will have whatever you need really in place because you will have prepared. We're going to have to be that way. Well, actually, when I woke up this morning, I was thinking about that grid. Really, this is what it led to. When President Trump made one particular speech, and he might have said it 2 times. The first time was during, I don't know, maybe he was in the Washington, D.C., but I know for one, he was at the WEF remotely, World Economic Forum, doing his speech. He was talking about the data centers, and he was encouraging the data centers. You will just build your systems, your grid or whatever, right next to you. And this is really, here's my wind chimes chiming. I'm telling the truth. Build the electricity things right next to them, because if the grid goes down, he said, and the grid is dilapidated, it's really old, you won't, because you will have your power station right there, more or less, and your data center will be able to stay up because you have your own little grid right there. So imagine all these data centers that are going up, and they have their own grid system to them. And if there was something that would come into the future, I say if, and the grid of the United States, it's a failing grid, that goes down, that's okay, because everything else that runs on data runs on that grid connected to it. It could even be the robots, the drones, everything like that. But for the everyday citizens and the economy and everything, our world, no, you shut down, because within 1 year, 90% of the population will die if the grid were to go down. While the data centers, they will stay up because they have their own grid station. We're going to have to learn to be self-sufficient. And if that means, you know, if you have some land, a yard or something, learn how you can, I don't know, just prepare, get yourself better prepared if the electricity were to go out. You couldn't go to the grocery store. Are you going to be able to eat? You going to be able to take care of yourself? Are you? That's my thought. This is a short video because I'm not supposed to be talking about this. I know I'm not supposed to. I'm not supposed to even be hypothesizing about it, because I'm putting the pieces of the puzzle together with these data centers and their own grid system. I mean, the technology is the future. And you can there can be an attack, a cyber attack on the grid systems for us, and they go down. You can attack certain sectors. You can shut off the electricity. You know how they can do widespread brownouts, load sharing? Listen to me. Let me get my tea. the load sharing that happens in order to provide electricity to other places. Like some people in load sharing, maybe your power is off for like 3 hours, maybe your power is off for 6 hours. That may be a common thing in the future. While the data centers, they have their own grid system. Now, I could see that. I can certainly see that happening. I can, because the old infrastructure probably will not be, well, the old grid system will not be attached to the new grid system, because that would be vulnerability would be coming in. Hello, Smoke Yank. That would. And then it makes you wonder, when these grid systems go up next to these large data centers, there are going to be places, businesses that are connected to that grid system, but not everything, because they got to have something else connected. But as for the ones that we're on, I don't know about that. I really don't. So I'm going to go. Hey, Applebrooks, honey, it's getting ready to go. And Carol, I've been noticing here that they've been delaying the this video footage at times when I come on here. I probably already got myself labeled. Gina, honey, you already went over the deep end. No, you're gonna have to learn to be more self-sufficient. And as I was saying earlier in the video when I first started off, there's a lot of people who have a lot of knowledge up here about what they could do in order to survive. You got to get a survival instinct mindset. But yet they may not be putting it into action. Maybe they can't do it. Maybe some people are fully able to do it, but they just read and they just absorb and absorb and absorb. And if something were to happen, there's nothing there. All that knowledge has not been put into action. They didn't do anything with it. They didn't get ready. That's my mindset. So that's, and you know how people build root cellars? They feel like they got to go out. And no, I'm not knocking nobody, but you got to go out. You got to have somebody come and dig you a big root cellar. You got to do it just perfect according to certain plans and stuff. When you can just like have a hole dug, if it might take you a long time, dig a hole in the ground. I saw some people, they would put a barrel in there, maybe a 35-gallon barrel, a 55-gallon barrel, or just large buckets. I mean, you have some good lids in that area. And then they would just put their cold storage vegetables in it. I mean, they would access it. And that was the root cellar, just like that. There was nothing that you had to literally go bankrupt on. Okay, I'm having a hot flash. Let me let the baby Rosie in. Rosie, honey, I'm going outside. I'm having a hot flash. You're going to go in the house because you're a little girl. No, you can do a root cellar without having to spend a whole lot of money. You got to get creative. You can read up on how to build a root cellar like that. Now, last night I went and I got the shavings off of the high brush cranberry. You had to get the outer bark because the native Cree, they use that bark for muscle spasms, like pain reliever, cramps, menstrual cramps, and all that kind of stuff like that. I'm sure there was more benefits to it, but there was gathering techniques where you would you either use a carrot pillar or a knife and shave it. And actually, it came from a company telling people, if you're going to sell us your high brush cranberry bark, this is how you have to do it. You have to lay down a tarp. You have to get your branches, and they cannot be smaller than a ½ inch. And then you do the fine shavings of it. And it has to be thoroughly dried to cover it up. It can't have no whatever on it. And it has to be cut up a certain thing before you ship it to us, and we'll pay you for it. So there is a demand for stuff. You got to learn how to, like every single thing on this property. I wonder, I think this is also a high brush cranberry right here. It may not be, it might be. One of these are, we have another one here, but I want to look at the bark, all these plants that we have, because every one of these has some type of fruit or berry on it. So I want to look and see the health benefits by that they would contain, their bark and stuff like that. And I really got to get myself back into that mode that I was years and years ago. Yeah, it is a good on most of this. Rosie, do I hear you in here? She's running around. You got to be self-sufficient. You do. Those data centers are going to have their own grid system, and I'm sure there's going to be some other big businesses that are attached to it. But we got a failing grid system. We do. And when they shut down the coal plants and the nuclear whatever stuff, well, they created load sharing in the summertime and the wintertime. And that means your electricity goes off because they can cut it off. Can you imagine you have the a certain section of your a populace cut off for some reason and you don't know why and it stays off? And what if they say there was a Carrington event? We had a big solar blast from the sun and it's knocked out part of the grid. Well, what if it didn't really knock out part of the grid? What if something happened and they took part of that grid out? Or they took the grid down or something? I don't know. That could be used against the people. It really could. Oh, you meant books on most of this. Is there a good, well, you can do your research on the internet. I'm sure there's a lot of, I'm sure there is not a shortage of anything survival because people go in the survival mindset. I'm just thinking, don't go way out there survival because you could go way out there and do all this and that and I don't know. Yeah. As a individual, do what you can while you can. I would say that. And when I grow my chard in the garden, the chard, the spinach, the kale, the mustard greens and stuff, we do, oh, that's the little baby. Come on, baby. You're a little girl. Yeah, you can do it. We do chop some of the chard up and stuff, and we will freeze it so we can put it in soups for when we want to have soups. But I told my daughter this morning I would like to at least dehydrate some of those leaves and stuff so we can have them for supplemental medicines and stuff like that, powders for when we need them, because I'm sure they have some good benefits to them. Yeah, that's a little baby. Thank you for the hearts. Rosie, honey, come on. See right there where she's at is thyme. I think that whole area is thyme. And we got a lot of dried herbs in the basement in jars, I'm just going to say, and the stems. Is that oregano maybe? No, it's oregano. Oregano is really good for you too. It has a lot of good medicinal benefits to it. Yeah. I guess I could do a hot tea with oregano. Hey, good morning. Your ancestors had electricity and you learned from them. That's great. Yeah, Rosie, she's over here by this goji berry bush. I'm going to look up the bark of a goji berry or the stems of a goji berry. I'm sure they have some kind of beneficial thing to them, and they pop up all over the place. You probably have some tea with the root system or something like that. I am going to go, oh, where did my tea go? I kind of lost my tea. Rosie, honey, what you doing? You got to get yourself prepared. Yeah. You got to, let me tell you something else. We got a lot more neighbors already getting chickens around here. Chickens, and they get roosters. You don't want to get too many roosters because the roosters like to fight. I've got to get I gotta get myself in the house because it's a little nippy out here. This is the day I go to my mom's for several days so that she's not by herself. And I'm sure we're going to probably go out today maybe or something. Yeah, I'm going to go. So let's look at that bark. It should have dried last night. Let me get this thing. The bark that I had shaved off the tree. Right here, let me look at it. put it up here and covered it with a cheesecloth. The pan is warm. So I think I'm going to let it dry more. I'm going to let it dry while I'm gone. Make sure it's, well, no, it literally broke. It broke so easy. It literally broke in half really easy. Let me try another piece. Let's see how easy it breaks. Okay, I think it's dry. Do you think it's dry? You make some tea out of this. You see that? I'm just going to see if there's, they're all like that. Yep. Do you listen? Can you hear the crisp? This crisp of it when it bends? Listen. It's crispy. That didn't go too. It must have been really thin. Let me hear this one. It could stand to dry more, thoroughly dry, covered up. But this is what, does it look like this on the outside? That's what I want them all to do. Hello. And you're supposed to break them in half, and you can have them in a tea, and it's good for you. You just came in from feeding and watering the chickens. Yeah, that's a great tea. It is? Yeah. So, I think I don't think it's going to get I don't think it's going to get cooked up there. You know, I'm tempted to go over to the brush pile where my husband put the branches, because they're about that big, and cut off some more shavings of the high brush cranberry this morning. Oh, it's still early. It's 8:38. Yeah. Samples of the seeds and plants, etc., from your yard to make a manual for survival with actual samples. We do got stuff like that at our house. We do collect our own seeds. Yeah, we do. And the root systems. So I am going to go. Yeah, and that's a good idea, not just for me, but for you and everyone else watching too. And that's what I've been saying on here these past few days, that I was going to go out and I was going to look at everything in my yard. And we've got lots of plants. This is going to take a long time, a really long time, to write everything down. And it would be good to identify trees, all different types of trees, by their bark too, for people. You know, so a lot of people can just look. Well, some people can just look at a tree. Oh, I know what type it is based on its bark. And the leaves, some leaves you have to study on plants because they may look identical, but you have to get up really close and look and see about if there's any like nodules or joints or something. There's something that tells them apart, but you got to look close. Hey, Ronnie, honey. So, Ronnie, honey, I dehydrated. I let these high brush cranberry dry out overnight, covered with a cheesecloth by the stove, and they dried. And I can have them in tea. I'm going to save them. They're going to go in a glass jar, and they're going to be labeled. We also got a lot of stems in the basement from herbs that we dried. Just in the jars. Tell my daughter I will have them. And yeah, it's great. We got to be more self-sufficient. We do. I'm going to go. With that being said, hello, wherever you are in any part of the world. Oh, there is an app, Blackjack Guitar. My husband has it on his phone. I'm so leery of putting any extra apps on my phone. But if you think about it now, if you got a Facebook app or a YouTube app, I'm sure a plant identification app is a lot better than social media platforms and stuff. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm going to go with that being said. Hello, wherever you are in any part of the world. Hello. From my heart to yours, love you. Have a wonderful rest of your morning. And thank you for listening. Yeah, we're going to have a beautiful day.